I have here a Toshiba Portégé 3110 CT ultra-portable laptop. This came out in the year 1999. It was found in a box that had been sitting around for about 15 years. Its origin is unknown. There was no power supply, no accessories, just the unit itself. I'm going to see what condition it's in and fix it if necessary. The Toshiba Portégé 3110 CT, released in 1999, sports a Pentium 2 at 300 MHz, 64 MB of RAM, and a 10.4-inch 800 by 600 active matrix LCD. Includes a 56K modem, and for a Windows 98 laptop, it's really very light and small. Okay, let's have a look over the unit. So on this side we have telephone socket for the inbuilt modem, power button, lock, air vent, that's for a security cable, PCM CIA slot. Over here we have, that's the eject for the card slot. We've got a volume control and a small hole called reset. And over on this side we have microphone, headphone, and a rubber cover that's hard to remove, which has the USB 1.1 connector, infrared port, and then a cover here, a picture of a floppy disk there. So that means there's the floppy drive connector, which I don't have, and an expansion port to add additional interfaces, which I don't have. And then finally there's the charging input, and it does say 15 volts, and it even gives us the polarity. Okay, let's see what we can do about getting some power into this. So I'm going to take the battery off. Okay, the battery is a 10.8 volt lithium ion. Very unlikely to still be working. It does tell us where the ground pin is. I'm going to try something a little bit unconventional, and I mean, this battery wouldn't have been charged in 15 years. So rather than plugging it into the laptop and then putting power into the laptop, I'm actually going to charge this battery remotely and see what happens. So I'm not even going to use a proper charger, I'm just going to use a power supply. I'm going to measure how the battery responds to receiving power. Okay, so first we need negative. Okay, the battery is connected to power. Now we'll set this power supply, make the volts 10.8. Okay, and I'm going to set a current limit, ridiculously small, 10 milliamps. We'll turn the power on. So we can see the battery is drawing 10 milliamps, and the voltage is very slowly coming up. Yeah, well, the battery's up to 1 volt potential now. I'm not really expecting this battery to work properly, but I do want to see if the cells can be brought up to some voltage, and maybe they'll even just work very slightly. I'm just going to leave that going. So we're starting to get into risky territory here, you know, putting voltage and lots of amps into faulty lithium ions is not necessarily a good idea. Might give it a bit of a boost. 175 milliamps, and the volts are definitely rising. I'll bring that down again. Let's take it up to 100. Alright, we'll leave it on 100. It is rising. Let's see where that takes us. It's at times like this I like to remind myself of the Galaxy Note 7, so I can remember what happens when lithium ion gets angry. Okay, it's been a few more minutes, we're up to 7.5. It's still going up, but slowly. I'm going to give it a bit more amps. 150, It's now rising again pretty fast. Let's see where that takes us. The other thing I can do is check the float voltage. So if I turn off the power, the battery is rapidly losing voltage. So these cells aren't very good at all. But it hasn't had a lot of energy pushed into it yet because I've been cautious. So I will keep going. Okay, a few more minutes and we've reached the float voltage of 10.8 and we can see the amps are now starting to slowly drop down. So at 10.8 volts that means each cell can go up to 3.6, but a charged lithium ion cell is usually about 4.2 volts. 3 of them in series means we should be going up to 12.6 volts for a fully charged battery. So we will have to raise the float voltage. I think I'll do that now. 12.6. Let's see what that does. Okay, well, all of this testing has given me a good idea of the characteristics of the battery. So now I have an idea of the condition of the battery and what it's going to be like as I power up the laptop and keep it plugged in with the battery attached. Let's give it a bit of a test, see what happens. Let's power it up. So I did see some lights there. So I think now it's time to give it some power. And I don't have one of those connectors, but I do have some DuPont cables or connectors, and I can plug one in. A lot of room there for the second one to go in, so I will have to make a cable up, but for now I'm just going to move the black section away. Okay, I removed took apart one of the DuPont connectors so that it can fit beside the other one. It seems to be a fairly good connection. So let's put some power into this and see what happens. Okay, power is connected and we do indeed have, yep, it tells us power is connected and that it's trying to charge the battery. Let's turn it on. It does say in touch with tomorrow Toshiba. Bad checksum, but that hard drive sounds terrible. Okay, while we're here we get a close-up look at the BIOS. Okay, password not registered, that's good news. Well, the hard drive seems to have started working all by itself, so let's turn that on. Okay, well, powering up just gives us an MS-DOS prompt. And if we have a look at the system, there doesn't appear to be any Windows on here. Just DOS. And a folder called PDS, which is some software called PDS. Panel Builder Development Software. Well, I think I might install Windows onto this computer. Now, I do want to avoid using the hard drive that's in here because it was making some terrible clicking sounds before when it wasn't working. And this machine was designed for Windows NT or Windows 98. I'm going to choose 98, so I've got a DOS prompt if I want one, and just have a nice retro, very slimline Windows 98 computer. Alright, let's take this apart and see what's inside. There's the bottom of the unit. Battery off. And let's get these screws out. Unpopulated memory. I may have something that fits into that. I'll have to have a look. But right now, I've had a look at the service manual that is available online, and this is apparently the correct procedure. There we go. Sure enough, there's some insides. Okay, there we go. Let's have a look at that. There's our hard drive. Oh, it's a Toshiba hard drive. Who would have guessed? Alright. While we're here, let's see if the keyboard comes out so we can see the rest of the computer. Okay, there's the keyboard, revealing the main board. Let's have a peek. Not a lot to see. Got some Toshiba brand memory. This entire board at the end here wants to come out, so there we go. Audio, USB, infrared. Alright, hard drive. Out. So it's probably about a 6 gig hard drive, I believe. Now that's a 44 pin laptop style IDE connector, and of course I'm not going to put another spinning hard drive in this. I'm going to go for something that I wanted to do for a while. I have an adapter, and this actually will take an SD card. I put an SD card in here, it should turn it into an SSD suitable for this machine. Plug it in. It really should be that simple. Let's power up with our new SSD. Alright, well I'm in the BIOS. I can't really see any way to detect the hard drive just in the BIOS, so I'm going to have to get some sort of boot disk. How am I going to boot a machine with no media drives? It does have a PCMCIA slot, and that's my, I think that will be my in. Let's get that set up. Okay, I've got some good bits. I've got the CD-ROM drive with PCMCIA card, and I found some memory. Let's see if I've got one that fits. I think it's going to be this one here. So let's get this. There it goes. It's in. Let's click down. Memory 196. Wow. Okay, that's been upgraded. Let's get Windows. See what happens. Alright, we're ready to go with the install. Windows 98 SE. It didn't boot. Almost like it wasn't getting enough power to the CD-ROM drive, because CD-ROM drive didn't spin up. Try that again. Okay, well it doesn't seem to want to boot off the CD-ROM. When I power it up, the CD-ROM does turn on and I can hear it spin up sometimes. I'm going to have a think about this and come up with a different solution. Maybe I can put DOS straight onto this card, and then I can install Windows 98 booting from the card. Let's give it a go. Okay, I think I found a solution. I'm using a portable hard drive adapter to USB, and I've copied the files I need directly onto the disk, and I've checked, and this drive does work with this adapter as well. So I've made this disk DOS bootable, and I've copied the Windows 98 installation files onto here as well. So now I'm going to put it into the computer and see if I can actually get Windows 98 install running, because I'm going to probably need some mouse control. And we have a DOS prompt. There it is. Okay. Yep, we have a Windows 98 install directory. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Not going to use a password. You want to hack this computer? Go ahead. Okay, it's done. I have Windows 98 installed. I'm really pleased I have this caddy, although I've lost the casing for it. None of that matters because I have the bit that counts. I did have to remove this memory expansion because it was causing the Windows 98 installer to become unstable and crash. I'm not really sure why. It could be because the specifications for this machine are 64 megabytes expandable to 128, and this is a 128 SIM which took it up to 192. So maybe that was it. I don't know. Is this faulty? I just want to say I'm really pleased with this adapter. It did exactly what it said it would. It converted a removable SD card into a fixed IDE device. I'm going to have to get another one of those for another computer restoration in the future. Okay, I'm going to put this all together now, and I'm going to finish installing some drivers and run some software on here and see what it's like. The Windows install went really well. I'm pleased with that. Assembly is all done, it's all together, and the third thing I did is I've made the power adapter. So I noticed when I was running on my power supply that this was drawing about 1.3 amps at maximum. So I found a power supply here with the requisite 15 volts and it's 1.6 amps, so that's pretty much ideal. I've made the connector using 2 DuPont connectors and some heat shrink. So let's get that plugged in. With a decent enough connection, that works fine. Okay, power is on. There we go. So if we power up, and if we have a look, we can see it has started to a DOS prompt. So I've set it to do that, so that I've got access to DOS straight off the bat when I turn it on. And if I need Windows 98, type Win, enter. Okay, it started up, so I do have a mouse here that I'm going to use. Okay, let's go to the power management, and we can see the battery. And the battery works enough that it can become unplugged. And it will run on the battery. It only lasts for a few seconds, but that's a good fail-safe. If it accidentally becomes unplugged, then the computer just won't immediately shut off. So far I've installed the video driver and the sound driver. There's a few more drivers to install. In fact, in the list there's quite a few. And each one needs to be installed manually, so when we extract we get a readme for how to install each driver individually, so I'll be doing that over time. So with Windows 98 it runs on top of DOS, which means when we shut down we get the option to just drop out to DOS. It doesn't even restart the computer, it just gives us a DOS command without Windows running. So this is in real mode DOS. And we'll go to the test directory. I have here a Y2K checking program. So this laptop was released in 1999, so we can do a Y2K compliance check. And this will also check leap years to make sure that's correct up to the year 2040, I believe. Press any key to continue. Okay, let's do our Y2K check, make sure it's all compliant. It's always nice to know that your computer is Y2K compliant, just in case the year 2000 ever comes around again. So it looks like this laptop from 1999 is just fine. Shouldn't have any problems running after the year 2000. Okay, the last thing we'll do is we'll run a demo. So we'll run Timeless. This is a 1994 DOS demo by Tran, one of his 3 big demos that he did. And let's get sound working, Sound Blaster, port address, IRQ. Okay. I haven't been able to get the music working yet, so let's overlay some Stellar Drone instead.